Hello everyone and welcome to Total War Through the Ages. In this episode, we've got several battles, and overall it's a pretty exciting episode, but starting out slowly. Got a suitable husband right there, more generals the better. End of turn reports looking pretty good. As you see, our finances are in a pretty solid state. Market, and we have our first unit of, I believe that was an armored camel, so it's going to be interesting to see them in action. First off, we're going to move up one of our generals. He's the one we got last turn. Move him up there, and we're actually going to use him to start forming a new army to basically do a multi-pronged attack. That's kind of the main strategy. Again, once again, as you saw there, moving troops from our capital back up to the front lines. Also move our spearmen into the city here. Going to maintain the siege for now as we finish out our turn and then come back to that. We are going to fight that siege. Our diplomat here, again, doing a bit of scouting for us. That is, Sidon and Jerusalem are both very lightly defended. I actually played around with the idea of sending some of my cavalry to start besieging Jerusalem, but I opted not to do that. Figured it'd be better to just concentrate our forces at the city that we already have under siege. Got our spy up here, again doing some more scouting. That city in the north there, I don't remember the name, but it's actually very low on a garrison. So, as you see here, we're going to actually start forming an army with this guy. And I actually said that wrong. I'm not sure. Yeah, so I'm not sure which general we end up sending in the army. But either way, we'll get that sorted out later on in the episode. But for now, time for the siege. We're going to capture, I don't remember the name of the settlement. But deployment, very straightforward. We have all of our cavalry. They're all horse archers except for one unit of camels. And then we have one unit of spearmen to basically send the battering ram up. So we have plenty of time here. So I actually take my time quite a bit. I move fairly slowly. I go ahead and get my forces organized. I like them. I'm kind of OCD. I like the units that are on the left side of when they are in the panel in the center of the screen, like the card panel. Units that are on the left side, I prefer to have them on the left side of the battlefield. That way, when I do quick selection by clicking on the cards, that allows me to, like if I need to go to the right side, I can just double click on the portrait on the far right, or if I need to, quickly, yeah, I help it. It helps. It's a level of organization that just really helps me. And that's actually the biggest thing one of the main features I really like about the newer Total War games. I know this sounds kind of weird, but I actually really like the fact that you can actually shift the cards around. You can rearrange them. That's one of my favorite things, because a lot of the older Total War games, you can't do that. Either way, as you see here, we kind of send some of our guys up. We actually take quite a few casualties there that we didn't need to. I could have been a little more cautious, potentially take the battering ram, batter down some of the walls and stuff as well. I actually was thinking about doing that, but since they're pulling back from the gate area anyway, I figure we'll just go ahead and charge into the gate. And I also have to set all my guys to off of running away. I have skirmisher mode, I believe. And then, skipping forward a little bit, we got most of our guys inside. We're going to go ahead and harass them because they're pulling back to the town center, but I figure, hey, let's go ahead and harass them as they retreat anyway. So there's no reason not to do that. And did a quick pause there. So again, a little bit farther ahead in the battle, they did send a unit actually back out to kind of fight us, and we actually end up. Actually, I think I might be getting ahead of myself. Either way, they did send one unit of one of their units out, one of their infantry out to kind of fight some of our cavalry. So we took some more casualties there, but ultimately we did win. It wasn't that challenging of a thing, and. Otherwise, again, this is a very straightforward battle. The most challenging thing is actually, yeah, there we go. I think that's the unit they sent forward. Either way, as I was saying, the most interesting thing about the siege is that it's kind of hard, and this is, again, the Sassanids as a whole, it's difficult being able to assault cities with only cavalry, basically. Like, we have one unit of spearmen, but that's it. Everything else is cavalry. And it's very difficult, particularly on settlements of this size. On some of the larger settlements, like the streets are a little bit wider, and the town center is a lot bigger. So this one, like the town center, is not very big at all, so we don't have much room to operate our cavalry. In a lot of the larger cities, that's not as much of a problem, because we can basically just outmaneuver them through the streets, outmaneuver enemy infantry through the streets, and just get to the town center and fight there. And it's a very condensed space for having a lot of cavalry, but it's big. It's wide enough open typically in the larger settlement. It's big enough that we can operate to some degree of effectiveness. And kind of, again, skipping forward, we got some of our guys engaged. I basically sent a lot of forces of cavalry out to all the different streets to basically flank around the enemy and come in from every position. So we're just flooding into the town center. We actually have control of it right now, but we're going to go ahead and just charge in and try and wipe out their units before they rally, seeing how some of them are routing. And again, I probably took more casualties than I needed to. If I was a little more cautious, took my time, I probably could have. I took my time quite a bit in this battle, but I could have even spent a little more time. Like you can see there on the hourglass, I had tons of time. But yeah, for the most part, it's a relatively easy, straightforward. I wasn't worried about losing it at all. It was just a matter of how many casualties we were going to take to win. So there we exterminate the populace and set the taxes to low and did the really bad thing of destroying the temple. That's actually a bad call. So tip for anybody, I think I mentioned this already, but if you destroy the enemy temples, it actually reduces the happiness because those temples increase happiness. So again, while it does spread the religion that's not yours, and so obviously you want your faction religion, it's better to leave their temples in place until the happiness, until basically you're able to fix the happiness from capturing it, and like basically build some other buildings that like some of the law and order buildings that will kind of help the happiness and stuff before you actually destroy the temple to switch it out. So that's that's something I didn't realize until later on in this campaign. So again, for quite a bit of it, you see me still destroy the stuff. Also, that is in fact that it was the general. I was right initially. That's the general. So we're going to form an army there, but they're Goths. Trade deal, why not? More trade deals means more money, so of course we're going to accept it. Rioting in that city we just captured, of course, kind of to be expected. They do have a fairly large force right outside of Sidon now, and they also have a smaller army outside of Jerusalem. But Jerusalem itself is still fairly weakly defended. So we are actually going to be doing a bit of sneaky maneuvering here that you'll see in just a minute. Like I said, this was a pretty exciting episode. So, meanwhile, again, in the north, multi-pronged attack. That was my overall strategy. Kind of finished the thought I had there. Multi-pronged attack, trying to basically attack the Eastern Roman Empire on as many fronts as possible. So we have smaller armies than them, but our armies are more spread out. So their large army, and basically we outmaneuver their larger forces. That's kind of the overall goal. And that's kind of what we're going to be planning on doing in the north. So as you see here, I'm actually abandoning the settlement we just captured because I pretty much knew for a fact it was going to keep revolting and we weren't going to be able to maintain control of it. So, and I don't really care to. Like, it's like, we kept it out, we captured it out of their hands, we exterminated it, so we got a lot of money in our treasury from that. So we're going to just kind of say, forget about trying to control it, and we are going to besiege Jerusalem. One of our other generals moving up to the front lines where he'll actually be useful. And again, forming a decent-sized army here. It's probably going to be a couple more turns till we actually get them, or it's going to be several turns before we get them to that city. But both of those cities there are lightly garrisoned, and I'm using my spy here to kind of scout out to see if there's any decent-sized armies anywhere near those northern cities, kind of in the lead-up to the attack. We're also going to get all of our heavy infantry, and we also throw some other units in there, but mostly our 3 heavy unit infantry, or our 3 units of heavy infantry, I should say, and we're going to be moving them up. And I was kind of thinking about, like, okay, there's a pretty big army outside of Sidon, so what are we going to do in terms of, like, I was thinking, like, can I get reinforcements to the army besieging Jerusalem? So I actually have them, so they actually attack, and it's at this point where it's like, yeah, they have a lot of archers, and that's kind of what I'm worried about. If they only had their infantry, I'd be a lot more confident going into this battle, but they have a lot of archers, and a lot of archers are a pretty good counter to horse archers. So instead of doing anything else, we actually are going to withdraw. Because again, utilizing our advantage in speed, because our force is almost entirely cavalry. So we're going to just withdraw from that battle. And, well, now the army is nowhere near Sidon, and Sidon basically has, like, 2 guys guarding it, so hey, let's go attack Sidon. And that's actually like a pretty good summary of, like, on the grand strategy scale, what my goal was during this campaign. It was just to purely outmaneuver them and just attack them wherever they were most vulnerable. So we started out besieging, so we captured the one city, they're going to send an army to go retake it. I already knew that, so I'm like, well, we're not going to worry about holding it, we're going to just go and attack Jerusalem instead. And then they attack our army at Jerusalem, we just withdraw our forces, so we don't have to fight a pitched battle that we'd be it definitely would be difficult and up in the air if we could win it. And so again, we're going to just besiege Sidon, that is now also really weak. Again, doing more scouting with our spy there, and also as I was kind of talking about some of that strategy strategy stuff, you did see me kind of maneuvering some of the reinforcements here. So we do have this small army coming down from Antioch to assist in this battle. So we actually send this army to go and attack. Got 3 units of horse archers, 1 unit of camel riders, a unit of armored camels, and a unit of our Calibini. I don't remember how to say those heavy cavalry guys, but I probably was never saying them correctly, but I can't quite remember what their name are. But yeah, these guys right here are heavy cavalry that's also horse archers, which I love so much. They're probably my favorite unit of the Sassanids. They're just so good. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and, again, a very straightforward battle here overall. Just send up our cavalry. This was a pretty close battle. Well, not close, but this was one of those battles where even though we did outnumber them, them having their infantry, which is, you know, Eastern Roman Empire infantry, so they're pretty solid infantry. If I could have screwed this up and lost this battle. No, definitely, like, no doubt in my mind, I could have lost this battle pretty easily. But thankfully, at this point in the campaign, I had really started to appreciate just how good horse archers were, and so I just sat back, peppered the enemy. Weakened them up, really softened them up. I didn't go in because previously, earlier on in the campaign, I was a lot more aggressive with like our heavy cavalry and stuff, and I honestly think that was definitely a mistake because it works a lot better just let our horse archers pick at them and soften them up, because our horse archers have quite a bit of ammo. Like, our horse archers have enough ammo to do a lot of damage to quite a few units actually. So then we're basically going to just kind of outmaneuver them. They do kind of catch one of our units of camels out, our camel riders over there. They do get some of their throwing spears off. But either way, still going to have to charge in now. So again, sorry about that. I had a sneeze. That's why I'm a little awkward there. So we're going to be having start actually charging our cavalry in at this point. We got the enemy units, and that's another big thing. I believe I've mentioned this before, but another good tactic with the Sassanids is to let the enemy wait till, like, force the enemy to split their infantry up. So once their infantry are all split up, we can pick them off one by one as they're isolated. And that right there, that was like just a really cool shot right there. I loved all 3 cavalry units coming in almost perfectly in sync to like all hit simultaneously. Despite the fact that they all hit simultaneously, I believe our camel riders... Oh, no, they didn't. Okay, I thought our camel riders actually still righted, but no, they did hold. So we ride down the rest of the enemies, and that's pretty much it. The battle's done. So, pretty good battle there, and now we have a small reinforcing army to actually assist in capturing Jerusalem. And as you saw there, 3 more horse archers coming up again. So we have a decent-sized army that's going to capture Jerusalem and hopefully be able to hold it. I was toying with the idea of not necessarily trying to hold it like in defending a siege, but rather actually using our army to attack the larger army on an open field, and like maybe leaving our 1 unit of spearmen on the ground. But as you saw there, our settlement got bribed. I wasn't really surprised, but I was like, hey, they just bribed my settlement. But they bribed their settlement to rejoin them. But so I was like, okay, maybe I can bribe them. So I was kind of looking for it. Took me a while to actually find it. It's at the very top under private dealings. So that was a little bit funny. I was like, where is the bribe option? And I was like, oh, it's right there. So I did offer this, but they were like, yeah, no, we ain't taking your money. We want to be Eastern Roman Empire. And my response to that would just be, why? You guys aren't as good as Sassanids. Sassanids are obviously better. And in fact, I have the empirical evidence to prove it later on in this campaign. And then, as you see there, they have a large army still outside of Jerusalem. So whether or not we're going to be able to capture this I was a little bit iffy on. But either way, we are actually going to be launching into the assault here. But that's going to be waiting for next episode. So, oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. I didn't actually fight that battle. That's right. I actually auto-resolved it because it was well enough. So, yeah, actually, I can't believe I forgot that. So we actually do capture Sidon. And this is one of those parts where it's like, I really wish I hadn't actually destroyed the temple here. But unfortunately, I did, because again, at this point in the campaign, I still hadn't realized. So, gonna go ahead and get a lot of reinforcements in there. Gonna go ahead and mop up that tiny army there, just so that we don't have to worry about them having any reinforcements in any of the larger scale battles. And then we're gonna consolidate our forces into Sidon and kind of secure that. So at this point, we captured Antioch. Sidon's our next stronghold, but that's all the time we have for this episode. Let's get this ending done quick. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to check back for more, and as always, till next time!